Okay, hi. Hi, my name is Marie. I'm a veterinarian and I co-founded Expertise for Animals, and I want to thank CARE for the invitation to give this small talk. I didn't get an introduction on how, but I think this is how we do it. Okay. So my talk is, whoops, we founded an organization, because that's the truth. Whoops, we founded an organization. We founded Expertise for Animals, and Expertise for Animals is the interface between scientific knowledge on animals and animal advocacy. What does this mean? Should I do it like this more? This means that we do mainly consulting, paid and pro bono, but we also provide knowledge and facts for free on our website. Our main target groups are other organizations within animal advocacy, but also the engaged public as well as media. Okay, we are a very small team. This is us. We are 3 people. On the left in the picture, you can see Eva, who's also here with me today. She's a biologist, and she's also a co-founder. And on the right is Sophie. She's another veterinarian, and she's also a co-founder, but she was in Berlin, or she has to stay in Berlin. There you can see a small timeline of our founding process. We started in 2021 with writing our statements. And I can only highly recommend doing this. I'm very confused by this. Writing the statements first, because we took a long time to writing them, the vision, mission, and our values, but also who our clients would be and what our methods of work are. This was an important step for us because we learned how to work together. We are also, I'm kind of doing this wrong, right? We are also working remote, so 2 of us in Berlin and 1 is in Vienna. We also decided what kind of legal form we would have, since we're doing paid consultations. We would need to have a special legal form, and this is a non-profit, non-liability company. We also, because it's a company, wrote a business plan, and this is also a very good step to establish your organization, because we found out what would be our target groups, but also what would our competition be. And then we wrote statutes, and it was not an easy process, because we wanted to write the statute gender sensitive, but it wasn't accepted by the authorities, so we had to spend a lot of more money into it to have it rewritten, and it was a bit unnecessary, because writing a gender-sensitive statute should be normal by now. This was 2021, so we took a lot of time into preparing our organization, but then we gave the agency, or we hired an agency to work on our corporate identity and also our website, and then we were finally able to publish it, and we also published our social media channel. And then in 2022, we also had our first projects, and I will show you some of the projects later. In 2023, we also did some legal changes because we wanted to employ all of us, and it was a bit tricky to do it, so we had to redistribute the shares of the company, but we were finally able to do it and to be all employed at the organization. We also tried to have a bigger team, and we hired a fundraising person, but she was only in a supportive role, and we figured out that we all want to be on the same page, with the same hours investing. So we now decided to have a 3rd veterinarian joining our team in September, which is really soon, and we're really excited. And of course, also we are doing bigger projects now. I'm still very nervous. Since we are a small organization, we had to think a lot about how we want to create impact. And here you can see our vision, and the vision is of course the goal of our theory of change, and this is also very important as a small organization to invest a lot of time into thinking your approach on how you want to achieve change for non-human animals. This is a very condensed version of the theory of change. We have it available on our website in English as well. So our organization is based in Germany and in Austria, so we mainly work in German, but we translate everything into English because we think it's really important that everyone who's at least able to speak English can access our work. And there you can see we do the consulting, and we provide knowledge and facts for free. And this leads to a strengthened animal advocacy movement, and also that organizations and institutions use scientific knowledge on non-human animals in the sense of non-human animals. Because the problem of animal welfare science is that they create a lot of knowledge, but mostly on how to exploit animals better, but we want to help them, we want to use this knowledge to end animal exploitation. So this is our theory of change, and we also work with the impact staircase, and I can highly recommend using an impact staircase by Fineo model. You can look it up. And then we also work with a strategy, an annual strategy. If you're a small organization, don't be afraid of using a strategic approach. It's really, really helpful, and it's also working something like a logbook approach, so you can look back on what you've achieved in a year. So now our projects. We just this week launched our first white paper on the tethering of cattle. It's been a big topic within Germany and also other German-speaking countries, so that's why we chose the first topic. It's mainly, also the main white paper is in German, but we translated a lot of chapters into English as well. You can also see them on our website. Other projects are, for example, we worked with Albert Schweitzer Foundation and we wrote a position paper on the stunning procedures of fattening pigs. We were also very happy and lucky to work with the French organization L214 on a position paper on extreme transport conditions of turkeys. It was a very big project for us, and we were still very happy that we could work together with them. We also supported Foodwatch on a report, and then we supported Animal Society with fact checks, and we really like to collaborate with Animal Society because they're also a young starting organization. So this is our consulting work, but we also do the providing facts and knowledge work through our website, but then also, of course, through social media. And we had one of our first small successes in social media on a post regarding feminism and anti-speciesist work, and that was really a cool first tiny success. Okay, next steps. What will the future bring? We will write our next white paper on broiler welfare. We will do more consultations, paid and pro bono, so please reach out to us if you need support with animal-based knowledge. And then we will, of course, also expand our website to provide more free information. And we will also need to secure further funding because it has been a challenge to secure a funding bolster for us. If you want to reach out, here are my contacts, or here's our contact of the organization, and please also visit our website, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Marie. Our next speaker is Tai Santos from Forum Animal. He's the executive director of the organization, and he also serves on the advisory board of the Pollination Project. Welcome. Let's give it a minute.
Don't worry. Don't worry, you can back. All right, I already finished my presentation. Thank you. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about how we can collaborate and do more coalition work. I think 100% people here likes to collaborate and to change the way that we are working for the animals. So one good way is doing things together with other NGO or other company. So let's put here, different NGOs need to work together for get more results. So if you are with someone that do the same work with the same goals, it's good, more is best. And each NGO has different ways to do the things, but the goal is the same. Many species in Brazil are treated with different ways, and some things it's not good ways. So we need to change this, and we are one of the largest countries that exploit animals. This is the reason that I'm talking about coalition work in Brazil. The main problems of working coalitions, sometimes it's good, it's because NGOs do double duties, like they do the same work in different ways, but it's the same work at the final. And sometimes they have a little bit competitions by fundings, by visibility positions, and sometimes for people that are doing good work. So our real enemy, it's not us. Our real enemy sometimes is the agribusiness, is the beliefs, the cultural, the habit of exploit animals. So we need collaborate. What is our turning point? Our turning point is we have the same goals and we have the same funders. So why not collaborate? And what are the difficulties that involves to work in coalition? Some human egocentrism, different policies, because some countries has different policies, like Brazil or US or European countries, they have different ways to do the work, and different cultures. And sometimes we need to understand who is leading. A few strategies to do this work is reaching consensus actions, so understanding better each organization will do this work, each organization has energy, has or fundings to do this kind of work. Later, define the main problems and solutions, because defining the main problems and solution, you can develop your strategies. So with strategies, you can understand how we will navigate on this work in coalition. So some takeaways that we can take advantage is we need to specify our channels, because as we are working with different organizations, we need to define one specified channel. Later, define if this coalition will be for executive directors, for managers, for coordinators. Some key messages that we will bring on our conversations. What are the goals and the first or the secondary goals that we are reaching with these conversations? And maybe sometimes every organizations could be part or not could be part because they don't have energy enough to do the work. So this is important, because some organizations, sometimes it's not available to do the work, and you are not comfortable to do the work. You can say, hey, I'm not okay for do this, but the next work in coalition I can do. Some common questions that normally appears is who pays the bill? Like, oh, we are doing some work together, who will pay for this? So depends. You need to define this at the beginning of the conversation. Who announces victories? Normally, everyone announces the victories. So you will see me announcing victory at the fast list or other lists that we announce victories. And sometimes I'm announcing some victories that my organization didn't take a lot of part, but we create a rotational system. So even I'm not doing 100% of this work, I will be launching these victories. And maybe the next victory, I will do the work, but other NGO will be launching the victory. So a rotational system, it's amazing. Does everyone participate? You can decide, I already told, physical, financial support, this is a thing that you need to understand better. And how far you can go. So if you are not comfortable, if you're not okay with this policy that we are creating in a coalition, you can say, hey, my organization is not ready to do this with you guys. Call me on the next time, and that's okay. So results so far, in Brazil, we have more than 100 commitments made by coalition work. So the biggest companies like McDonald's, Burger King, just have made commitment with chickens and broilers because our work in coalition. And we have several laws that we pass together because we have different lawyers and in different organizations doing the same work, so they could collaborate and create new ways to find to help the animals. And we can have the higher impact because we have more volunteers doing the work. So my volunteers could help your volunteers, and every volunteer together is more powerful. Here is some example that you can create a spreadsheet to put the name of organizations, like, oh, my organizations could do part of this work or not. So if your organization it's available to do the part of the work, the organization could put yes and will be green. If the organization is not okay to do the work, it could put no and will be red, and maybe will be yellow. So later we can define our priorities. So every organizations put yes at some line, and so this could be a prioritization for the team for the coalition work. And some organizations put no or maybe in other topics, and this is not a good topic for working coalition. Some takeaways very quickly. We need to be clarity on the things, dynamic case. We need dialogue because it's very important when we are talking about humans. We don't must blame people because we don't need to find the people that are not doing the work. We just need to find the way, the solutions of how we can do the work. This is an opportunity to respect more, to listen more, to learn more, and to recognize new ideas from outside from organizations. Yeah, this is my contact. I hope so I can get to the 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please add your questions in the app. We will have time to ask them after the last talk. And the last talk is by Pascal Marcel Dreyer, who listens to and narrates more than human stories. They are visiting assistant professor of multi-species storytelling at the Academy of Media Arts in Cologne and director of the non-profit agency Traces Studio for Creative Investigation. Welcome, Pascal.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here, and thank you to the CARE team for organizing this amazing conference and for inviting me, which I'm really not taking for granted, because as like this kind of liminal spirit kind of situated between the arts, activism, and academia, this is really something exciting for me to be here. This presentation I have here is also available online. It's on creativeinvestigations.cargo.site and also accessible via this QR code. It's partially interactive, so really it would be great if you try it out later on. So I'm talking about creative investigations for animals in a way of presenting to you two projects instead of kind of making like or trying to establish a theoretical framework, which actually kind of exists, but I want to present to you two projects that can stand for a creative investigation in this case. So the first project is called De Profundis, and concretely it's De Profundis.executable. De Profundis is Latin for from the depths, and it is a video game. And video games, as many of you might already know, have become immensely popular worldwide with a vast and diverse player base. The medium offers interactive and immersive experiences that engage players emotionally and intellectually. For the animal advocacy movement, video games provide a unique platform to raise awareness, foster empathy, and convey messages about animal rights and ethical treatment. The interactive nature of gaming allows players to directly engage with virtual animals and virtual animal industry architectures to experience the animals and, for example, activists' perspectives and explore complex issues playfully. In this game, the game world is based on 3D scans and photogrammetry data of an actually existing pig breeding and fattening facility. And the starting point of this project is really kind of this virtual copy, and which is kind of an exact and true to scale virtual copy, as well as footage recorded from inside a so-called CO2 box. The experience of an activist entering the dark facility with a red headlamp, investigating, was the foundation of the game, and the game environment, the level design, and the game mechanics. And what you can see here is just kind of an excerpt, an excerpt of the game experience. If you would kind of navigate very slowly through the space, but this is all based on live game engine renderings. Just one kind of quick word on the technology that we're partially using. It's LiDAR scans to get the 3D models for the game. And this is something to note. It doesn't have to be a game. The game has kind of the advantage I told you before, the kind of interactive nature. But it can also, of course, these 3D models can be used for information graphics, for example. LiDAR just stands for light detection and ranging. It's basically like radar, just instead of radio waves, it's light, laser. And it kind of creates millions of exact measurements of the surrounding area, and can then be transformed. These measurements can then be transformed to a 3D model, but can also be used, for example, to exactly measure things after we were actually in the place. And photogrammetry is basically similar. The triangulation there just happens with many photographs that are combined. And we're also working on new technologies like utilizing machine learning, for example, to create 3D models from 2D images. This is an example of a really rough 3D scan, which is LiDAR, but it's actually done with the LiDAR scanner of a modern phone. And this is kind of an example of what you would get if you needed to be very quick. But of course, with LiDAR scanners that I showed before, but that cost like in a range of 20,000 or more. This is, of course, a different kind of resolution. Yeah, if you use the presentation online, you can also kind of interact with it and look at it in a bit more detail. Okay, this is one of the kind of presentation forms we did. So the game is playable in an exhibition space, in a state gallery, in this case in the Sindelfingen Municipal Gallery in Germany. And what you can see here is exactly the CO2 box where piglets that are considered not economical to be raised are killed. And in this special case, this is one kind of interaction we have in the game. The visitor or the player decides themselves if they want to see inside the box, if they see the footage or not. And also they first, of course, have to get to the box. So they kind of really kind of in front of the facility, and then they have to go inside, look for these kind of objects and discover themselves what they mean. And we've had great feedback so far from the visitors of this gallery. They kind of really they identified to a degree with the activists. They were kind of had the feeling they were uncovering these kind of cruel images themselves, and it generated a further interest in the topic. And due to its success, we are hosting a live stream on Twitch on September 10th. Featuring a panel talk and a live walkthrough the game. And we're at the moment creating a VR version where we're also still looking for further funding to facilitate that. And then there will also be a publication around these, around the process. Okay, quickly another project, which is called Non-Human Space. And it's an example of kind of an investigation where we didn't really have to go anywhere. It's based on data of the animal industry, another kind of data, collecting this data, archiving this data, and visualizing this data in a creative, artistic manner, also to find something out about the data. I did this together with Yannick Westphal, who is an IT security expert and programmer. And this, just to give you a brief overview, farmed animals are moving and being moved with data. And during their lives, bodies of data are growing. And later, these bodies of data are partially attached to body parts, like, for example, the packaging. And we've done research here at Aldi in Germany, where the main supplier, or one of the main suppliers, is Tönnies, one of the largest slaughterhouses in Germany. And we've created an algorithm that sends multiple requests per minute over the Tor network to their servers to extract data. And normally this data is just accessible if you go to the store and you have a product and you scan the QR code on it. Okay, I will skip this. And here you can see the code in action, which is scraping this data of the kind of animal industry servers, multiple requests per minute, and all these data we collect and archive also. This data on the servers is normally deleted by the company when a product is not longer being used. And we archive that. And then one version how we kind of presented that is in this kind of non-visualization, where every data set becomes one star on this sky, and then down there is what you just saw, the server running and kind of creating the sky. So thinking about kind of these topics of multi-species mourning non-human animals, kind of giving meaning to these data sets. But of course, there are also further possibilities to explore these data sets we collected in our archive, for example. Yeah, all these projects are collaborations between kind of many organizations and people. I want to just briefly mention here. One is the Studio for Creative Investigation that I co-founded and directing, and I'm directing the Symbiotic Lab, which was involved in the De Profundis work, the Multi-Species Studio at the Academy of Media Arts, where I'm teaching at the moment also. Helmut Fischer Stiftung supported, and Animal Rights Watch had a great part in De Profundis as well. And yeah, here you can also find some links. It's a lot. There's the Traces Studio, Multi-Species Studio. Octolab is something, maybe you might be interested in that. It's also artworks on kind of the octopus and octopuses in many kind of different artistic perspectives. And just one quick last word. This is all kind of an effort to connect the institutional art world and creative communities, young creatives internationally, with the animal advocacy movement. And the funding for these two projects was mostly state arts funding, as well as from arts-focused private foundations. This shows that sophisticated art projects, which could also be called artistic research, be it fine art projects, films, games, or curated exhibitions, can mobilize funding for animals that was previously inaccessible for the cause. And we want to bring creative professionals and their amazing talents to the movement, which so far struggles to integrate them and effectively use their skills. There are more projects we're working on at the moment, so feel free to talk to me. I will be happy to kind of give you more information on what's kind of about to start. Okay. Yes. That's it. Feel free to contact me via mail. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to invite all of you speakers here. Okay, we have two microphones for you. They should work for you to share. And I have some questions. You can add more still. So the first question would be to Pascal, to you. Are you able to collect some user data and see which aspects of the game mechanics work best?
Thanks. Does it work? Yeah, actually, that's a really interesting question. So this kind of evaluation of how the game is used is something that we're not doing at the moment because the game is now, just exhibited in a gallery space. But two things we are working on is one, the VR project, and the other thing is we would like to kind of make the game ready to be downloaded by individual people at home, and then we could kind of integrate these systems and surveys, for example, when it's kind of downloaded and used on a kind of in a larger scale. Yeah.
Thank you. Marie, a question for you. Do you have any upcoming job opportunities at Expertise for Animals, and are you open, for example, for internships?
So we just hired a new person. Working, yeah. And we haven't really talked about the internship thing. So at the moment, there are not really any positions available, but please always check our website and our social media.
Thank you. And one for Ty. What were one of the hardest things organizations in Brazil faced during the first few years of animal advocacy work?
Yeah, all right. So our organization, we started to work in 2000. So we have almost 23 years working at animal protection. And I think the worst part is always when we need to take action for animals that are exploited live. And fortunately, this year, we won the first victory to ban live exported animals, but I think was one of the biggest and highest problem for we, because people don't understand why we are fighting to this animal be at least killed before they go to the other country. I think this is one of the highest problem.
Thank you. I have a question to everybody now. So, because all of you, we have a very diverse set of speakers here, so each of you does very different work. The question is, what keeps you motivated? So let's start with Ty, maybe.
Yeah, I think what we always make me get out of my bed, it's the diversity and the innovation. I love the new. Always when I try to see ways to solve some problem for the animals, I face something that it's very difficult, and when I'm not on my comfort zone, I always try to see for the future. So the future is something that motivates me, and the way that I will get to the future is something that motivates. Personally, I do a lot of exercises. I take care of my alimentation. So this is something that helped me to keep my motivation. And animals is always what I need to keep this. And for our organization, see more youngest people doing the work. This is something that we are very happy now, and to understand more about how we can create the new world, bring the diversity and the new perspectives. This is something that I think it's good.
Mine is maybe not so aspirational. For me, it's more frustration, because I studied veterinary medicine and I learned how to exploit animals, and this didn't really feel well. So I wanted to use the knowledge to end or to help ending the exploitation of animals. And then I found that the scientific or the academia is producing a lot of knowledge on how to better exploit animals. And that was also very frustrating for me. And I thought maybe with Expertise for Animals, we can jump in and use this knowledge to, in the sense of animals, to help ending exploitation. So that's my motivation.
For me, it's actually, I have some very some points in common with your points. For me, it's kind of course, as also other artists, like I have the motivation to do art, just like intrinsically, kind of to work creatively and to work with kind of the tools, kind of creative tools, or even with tools from science that can become creative tools. And this frustration, there's also partially a frustration because there's so many interesting theories, also like decolonial theory, decolonial kind of ecological theory, that is really kind of popular in the arts, at art schools, for example, but not that much in the animal advocacy movement. At least that's my kind of, that's how I perceive it somehow. So I think this is one chance to bring these in through arts and the creative projects. Yeah.
Thank you. Another question for you, Pascal. How are the animal-focused arts projects received by conventional arts funders who don't generally think about animals?
Yeah, so this is, that's a really good question. Kind of the art we do, as it kind of comes out of this institutional art context. So we are kind of trained artists from art schools, and we did a lot of kind of art projects before that, or film projects or whatever. So it kind of, I think it kind of relates a lot to the people who are funding arts projects already, and also the state kind of institutes that are funding arts projects, because they have a kind of level of quality and research, aesthetic research, already part of them. So it's really something that is welcomed in a way, and then it's just kind of a new topic in the art space that is kind of really accepted through these forms.
Thank you. Mari, can you see like other organizations in other countries that do similar work to the work you do? And can organizations from around the globe reach out to your organization, and how to do that?
Okay. Multiple questions in one. Of course, Animal Ask, and we also really looked up when we were founding to Animal Ask and also be inspired by them. But then, of course, all the big organizations, most of them already have trained veterinarians or people that are trained in animal-related studies working there. So I think a lot of organizations are already settled. But we are here for organizations that don't really have people working there that could fill this, and that's where we come in. And yes, please reach out to us. So yes, we firstly work in German, but we translate everything, and a lot of science is, of course, written in English. So please reach out to us. If the communication is English, we can communicate, and we do paid and pro bono consultations, of course. So please reach out.
Thank you. And last question for you, Tai. So you mentioned the different challenges that you can face working in a coalition, and you mentioned some mechanisms on how to handle them. But what do you do when there is conflict, and how can you handle conflict in a coalition?
Awesome. Always we need to find way to respect the point of views of different organizations and different persons. And when we start to do some work, we try to find the key persons to define the goals of this work. So when we face some difficult things, these persons are the persons that will solve this problem. So normally each organization chooses one person that will represent these organizations in the communication at all. And if someone is find some problem with a specific person from a specific organization, this problem will be related for every organization, and we will create a new council to discuss what we can do if this person are doing something more egocentric, or it's something that could help us to get more results. So our focus is always for the animals. So if we are trying to solve some problem that it's not focused on the animals, we try to put this at the balance and say, hey, it's not the time to we keep this. Let's move on and let's focus on the animals. And normally this help because people understand, oh, it's my time to back off and put another person to do the work. And if allowed me, I can complete your answer because we are 25 people working in our country, in my organization, and we are 16 veterinarians. So after I hired 16 veterinarians, the science, the things definitely help us to bring more perspective of animals for the producers, for the farmers, for the academy. So it's important to have the sciences on our side.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, audience. Thank you, audience online. Our speakers are staying at the conference, I assume, and I assume they are glad to talk to you afterwards. So please reach out to them, and thank you very much. Thank you.